the last few years, something subtle has happened in the way we buy video games. The numbers crept up. Remember back in the day, they were like $50, but then it was like $60, then $70. And now some of the biggest releases are dropping at $80. $80. Not to mention if you want the limited or special edition of the game. The consoles, subscriptions, I mean, they're all following the same curve, just one small increase at a time. Just one after another. We saw this even with some increases just the other day. When Nintendo confirmed that Mario Kart World on Switch 2, which was highly anticipated, right? We were all wanting that Mario Kart game at launch, but that it was going to launch for $80. I mean, the response was almost instantaneous. I mean, the articles, the videos, the comments, people were picking the price apart. You couldn't go anywhere online, YouTube, X, Twitter, Reset Era, anywhere, without seeing people asking, how do we get here? And this is the moment where you got to ask, have things just kind of gone too far? But when the pre-orders opened for Switch 2 and for Mario Kart World, those same storefronts that we criticize, we then flooded, right? You couldn't get the Switch anywhere. The games were selling out online. You couldn't get them. My Switch 2 order was canceled. You know, I had to get one through a friend. And yet, just days before, though, we were ripping it apart. Yet we still wanted to be there day one, just because of the FOMO and the hype. It's the same story with GTA 6. For months, if not years, there's been rumors of what Rockstar could charge. It was almost a retelling of what we saw with Witcher 3. When Witcher 3 was announced, you're like, oh my God, is this game going to be $100? We hear the rumors of how big this game's going to be. Could it be $100? Luckily, it wasn't. But we had heard the rumors for years that GTA 6 was going to be $100. Now, in some sense it is, but the regular edition is just $80. So it still brings us back to the table of conversation. But if you want the limited edition with all the extra content and skins, and well, it is $100. And is it worth not getting that version when you actually talk about it? But it confirmed what many people have been worried about for the longest time, on prices continually just raising. And yet, when those pre-orders, though, even though, again, we were just complaining about it, when those pre-orders went live, and again, this game doesn't come out for another couple months, but when the Xbox and the PlayStation storefronts, when it hit 12/01, and those pre-orders went live, the pre-order add to cart button was having trouble loading. We still have a couple months, and yet the traffic to the stores were bringing down the bandwidth of the sites. Yet the price hadn't changed. Our behavior hasn't changed. We'll still complain about it, yet we're still there day one again. outside of those headlines and releases, the pattern repeats in small ways. Games that ask for a box price but then they build an entire economies in cosmetics, battle passes. We see live service in these worlds that stretch on for years, not even promising to stay. But not because a story demands it, but because the business model does. And that's what drives the game. And it's easy to point out games like Fortnite or Counter-Strike 2 that have nothing but skins or battle passes to help support it. And look, great games. And look, there's other giants in the same space. And we say they represent everything that's gone wrong with gaming. But those economies are only possible because players like us feed into them. Subscriptions are following a very similar arc. Services that launched as the best deal in gaming eventually raise their prices too. Sometimes by 50% in a single move. Yet millions of people walked away. Many more stayed, including myself. Doing the math in their head, and deciding that, losing easy access to a library of games would cost them more in the long run. Meanwhile, the stories we tell ourselves, especially even recently, of how the games industry grows darker and darker every day. And we watch studios close and teams get laid off left and right. We just heard about all these people getting released from Xbox and all these people getting released from PlayStation over at Bungie. We see all these companies pushing these brands and telling us that we should believe in them. Then watch those same companies make choices that didn't line up with our values and our own communities and beliefs. And still, the next sequel or the next big expansion, something appears. And a lot of us show up anyways. The online frustration really never switches off. Just go to Reddit. It's evident. It's there. Go, find your local Discord server. It's there. There's a timeline of comments that you can find in videos. Go to X. You'll see the comments. People tagging things. And they're full of people who care deeply about games, though, but who feel let down by where gaming has kind of ended up, their favorite hobby ever since they were a child, and what it's kind of turned into. The tone swings between exhaustion and anger, though, sometimes. And it's easy to read. It's just easy to read all of that and then walk away convinced that maybe gaming is broken. But when you look at the gap between what we say and what we do, the way we talk about prices, microtransaction, live service, subscriptions, studio behavior, and then still turn up for the next launch, another possibility starts to appear. I don't want to just ask what's wrong with gaming publishers, studios, platformers, retailers. I really want to ask a harder question. If the data they are following is our money, our time, our attention, how much of the problem is actually with the gaming industry, or how much of the problem is actually us?